All right, it's 6:31, so if everybody's ready, I will call the meeting to order. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting for Monday, February 8th at 6:30 p.m. Would you please rise and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, a nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Mr. Spagone, would you take us through our agenda?
Sure. We've got an appointment with Chief Herron at 6:30, and we have, looks like 7 action items and a couple of things for discussion.
Great. Thank you. So with that, Chief Herron, I will turn it over to you. You have the floor. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm going to give an update first on COVID-19 on behalf of the Board of Health. That's okay with you?
Of course.
Then we'll move into the fire department business right after that. So Sue Malloy was unable to join us tonight, but wanted to provide the latest numbers on COVID-19 cases in East Bridgewater as of last Thursday. So over the past 2 weeks, there's 105 confirmed cases and 22 probable cases. This may go up slightly as more results come in from last week. Overall, the numbers are down from last week, but we're still high. Now moving into COVID. So the first responders were vaccinated on January 19th and the 22nd, and their second doses are scheduled to take place on February 16th and 19th, and those doses are already available. Phase 2 began on February 1st. However, we were not able to get any vaccines. 200 doses were ordered by the fire department and 200 doses were ordered by the Board of Health, Health last Monday. Excuse me. However, neither department was allocated any vaccines. We're going to continue to try and order vaccines every Monday. Today, we tried ordering 200 for fire and 1,175 by the Board of Health. If we do receive those doses, they will likely arrive on next Tuesday or Wednesday, and we will have a vaccination clinic on Wednesday or Thursday at the community center for those who are 75 and older, and we'll continue doing those clinics until we use up the available doses we have. The odds of getting 1,375 doses are pretty slim, actually, though, from what I'm understanding, because most towns are only receiving about 100 doses regardless of how many they have ordered. Brockton Hospital has the capacity to store the Pfizer vaccine, which has to be stored ultra cold. So if we decide to use it, which we will, it requires it to be reconstituted with normal saline, which is not a big deal for us. Paramedics kind of mix meds all the time. It just adds an extra step compared to the Moderna vaccine, which just comes out of the vial and goes into the arm. The downside with Pfizer, it has to be used within 5 days of being thawed. Moderna, we have 30 days. We can't, by mandate from the state now, hold a vaccine for more than 10 days anyways, so it's kind of a moot point, and we don't really want to be in the business of storing it. We want to get it and have a clinic as quick as we can. So using the Pfizer vaccine would likely work out well when it comes to vaccinating the school district. Unfortunately, Brockton Hospital, that they requested 50,000 doses last week and they got 0. So we have teamed up with West Bridgewater to vaccinate both the school districts when that part of phase 2 begins, and when we enter and go through phase 3, which is everybody else in the general public that did not fall under a special section of a phase. Both of those groups will likely be a drive-through vaccination clinic at our senior high school. The downside is it would have to occur on weekends, obviously because school is in session during the week. And I'm going to see if there's other areas in town that would allow us to use their property for the drive-through sites. We don't need a extremely large area, but we do need a large enough area for cars to kind of come in, register, then get the shot, and then, park and be monitored by paramedics for that 15 or 30 minutes. So effective today, a notification was placed on the town's website, as well as the Board of Health and Council on Aging websites, allowing people 65 and older or anyone in phase 1 to fill out a form online if possible, and preferably online if they have internet access. So we have a list of those wanting to be vaccinated. There's also a hotline that will be activated today. That's using the Council on Aging's phone number of 508-378-1610, option 1. And people calling the hotline need to listen to the entire message and will be prompted to leave their name, age, date of birth, address, phone number on that voicemail if they do not have email. So if you have email, use the town's website. If you don't have email or internet access, then call that phone number. And what will happen is once you leave that information, we will take that information and put it into a spreadsheet that we can use to notify people who are 75 or older that they're able to be vaccinated. And if we have extra vaccines left over, we'll have a waiting list that we'll be able to draw down from that list, so we don't waste any of this precious vaccine. So doing this is going to aid us in compiling a list of people who wanted the vaccine and speed up the process of notifying them of an appointment and getting the vaccine in their arm. Because we are not receiving the amount of vaccine we need, members of the community are urged to contact a regional vaccination center to schedule an appointment, or your primary care physician or a local pharmacy in the area that might be giving vaccines. And though it is an inconvenience, it may be the fastest way to get vaccinated. Massachusetts has established a COVID hotline by dialing 211 for anyone 75 and older that does not have internet access to aid them in setting up an appointment. They're like a live person and they'll guide them through the process. We do have multiple languages on that 211 phone line. Residents who are 65 and older with mobility issues should contact the COA so we can establish a list to possibly vaccinate those people in their homes or provide transportation if possible for them to a town clinic. Vaccinating in the home is the least favorable and it's the most time-consuming way to get vaccinated. But we will make every attempt to accommodate those in need if we ever receive a vaccine. So my medical director, Dr. Muse, who has been a champion during this entire process from late February, running right through today, and I don't see it ending anytime soon with him, is doing everything he can to get the local boards of health and fire departments in the 13 or 15 communities that he's serving vaccines. He sent a few emails today to the deputy commissioner, I guess, of Department of Public Health, trying to know what can we do to get vaccines here? What do we have to do? If we have to get a consortium together to have a regional site in this area, staffed by paramedics or whatever, then that's what we'll do. And we're just kind of waiting for from word back from him, from the state, as to what is the holdup here? Well, why are we not getting vaccines? I just want the townspeople and you people to know, Sue Malloy and I think I spent probably 90% of my day today dealing with the COVID and our response to it, and trying to get vaccines and just trying to play logistics of it. It's like if we just could get the vaccines, we could start getting these things in people's arms. And I want you to know that we're working, we're doing everything we can, and unfortunately, it's just not working out for us. Why some towns get vaccines and others don't? I don't have an answer for it. I don't get it. I know some of the towns who did clinics last week, they didn't get vaccines this week. I don't know if the state just wants to move towards regional centers. And if that's the case, fine. But they should kind of let us know that so we can plan accordingly for people. Because I think there's a lot of people left in the dark. And it's not just people who need vaccinations, but it's Sue and I who are trying to facilitate this. And it's frustrating, but you know, it is what it is for now. I don't know if there's just a shortage and that's the problem is. Maybe when they get more, it'll start to roll out more, or they're just trying to, you know, get their regional sites to make sure that they have enough vaccine, which I totally understand. But for the over 75 population and some of the 65 to 74 population, you know, going to a regional center is not ideal at all. Going to the community center in your own town, that is ideal. That's what the Dr. Muse has tried to convey to the Department of Public Health today. Do you have any questions on that at all?
Well, I mean, Chief, I just, you know, I don't think there's a person in this meeting, and I certainly wouldn't expect in the town that doesn't know that you are doing everything you can and that you're being held up by whatever powers are outside of your control to get this, you know, moving forward. Is there anything that we can do in terms of, you know, the Board of Selectmen to put pressure on politicians to try to get this to change? Or, you know, do you see anything that we, you know, could do to help you?
Yeah, I'm not sure yet. I'm going to send an email to both our senators and representatives tomorrow, just trying to get them involved. I know the superintendent has reached out to Representative Dubois to try to get the teachers moved up, you know, in the line. But I mean, there's no vaccines given out then, and that's not going to happen. I put a call into Representative Dubois, but I haven't heard back from her yet. But I might just send an email, a mass email to them tomorrow, kind of letting them know. I'm sure they're getting it from everybody, but well, why not get it from one more town too that says, hey, what can we do here?
Right.
So we're trying. And I had higher expectations of, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago when we vaccinated the fire department to think this is really going to work out well and we're going to be good. And it hasn't worked out like we planned.
Well, I don't think that the work you've put into this to set it up will be for naught, because when the doses do become available, you'll be ready to hit the ground running. And, you know, the prep work has been done. And, you know, I commend you, and I'm sure, you know, the other board members do as well. David and Peter, do you have questions or comments for the chief?
No, just the same thing, you know, as you said, Madam Chair, is I've seen all the work being done, and I just, you know, let everyone know that we're behind you 100%. Anything we can do, you know, get protest signs out there, do whatever we have to do. But don't get frustrated, you know, it's government.
I understand. I appreciate that.
Eventually it will get here, and as the chair said, you're right. Everything is all set up except for getting the vials in themselves. So again, congratulations for all the work you've been doing along with the Board of Health.
Thank you.
Yeah, my sentiment is exactly the same too, Tim. When we talked about it the other day at the Board of Health meeting, you know, I get it. I mean, they want to have these venues like Gillette and Fenway, these outdoor, and I heard that now they're over at the fairgrounds over in Marshfield. So, I mean, they're outdoors. I'm assuming that, you know, they're trying to do that type of vaccine disposal places or whatever you want to call them. But, you know, it is frustrating. I mean, I could tell last week in the conversation at the Board of Health meeting that it, you know, it certainly is not what we anticipated. My guess, though, Tim, and maybe you could give me or give the board a little bit of insight, is you think these phases as we go through them, they're going to be done first and foremost at these other regional sites before we see them come? So let's say the 65 and older are going to have a chance to go somewhere else prior to us getting them, and so on and so forth.
I don't know. I don't know, Peter. I honestly believe, but I have no proof of this, that the state wants to go towards regional vaccinations. That's what I think they want to do. And that's okay. Just tell us.
Right.
Just tell us that's what you want to do. Then, you know, we can plan accordingly. But there are people in this town that can't go to a regional site. They just can't. And
Right.
they have to be able to free up at least some vaccine for us to be able to go to their homes or places where they're comfortable to be able to, vaccinate them. I don't know. Maybe when things start rolling out more, I mean, if we get more vaccine, I don't know. I would have thought they would have wanted to push this out to every possible venue that could do it. And we can vaccinate. I could do 500 people a day and be done with 10,000 people in 20 days. Just give the vaccines, and we'll have 8 days off, and then we do it again for 20 days, and 10,000 people are vaccinated, double shots, done. And that'd be about, I'm thinking about how many people in town would want it. It would be about, 10,000. So.
Well, hang in there.
Yeah, but there's nothing else we can do. It is what it is.
Do you know, because you said you ordered today, and if you got them, it would be next week, but do you know when you'll know whether you're going to get those or not?
Saturday. They email on Saturday whether you're getting some or not. And then the product arrives usually on Tuesday for Moderna. Excuse me, Wednesday for Pfizer. So the Pfizer would have to do the following week because I'd have to store that at Proctor Hospital anyways. And then we'd just be able to do that the following week, but at least would have vaccines, we'd get it out within that 10-day period that, the state's mandated that once you receive it, you have to use it within 10 days. The Moderna, we can use, the next day. And if it came early enough, you could use it the same day, but logistically, you couldn't get the vaccine and do a clinic on the same day unless that clinic was already established. But then if you don't get it, now you get to cancel. So that's why you just give us a day to get it. And for the next day, we'll put it out there.
Okay. Good, thank you.
Just one more question, Chief. If, say next week you receive 500, what's the guarantee that 4 weeks from then that you're gonna have the second doses for people?
I don't have the answer for you. I know we are guaranteed our second doses for the first responders. Those will be coming early next week or the end of this week for next week. Checking the date, yeah. So I'll probably get those from Proctor Hospital late this week, Friday, and we'll be able to take care of those next week. But as far as if I got 500 doses this week, would I get 500 more doses a month? They're saying that if you get doses, the initial dose, you don't have to order your second doses, that it'll just automatically happen. However, if they don't have doses, they don't have vaccines, then they don't have vaccines. But the 21-day waiting period for Moderna's between shots and the 21-day Pfizer between shots and the 28-day Moderna, those are the low numbers, meaning no less than 21 days or 28 days. But now they're saying it could be, up to 42 days, if not longer, for your second dose, and it would still be effective. Obviously our goal is to be 21 or 28 days, depending on the vaccine that we get. But it's obviously still out of our control.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions for the chief on the COVID vaccines? All right, Chief, did you also want to talk to us about fire department stuff?
I do, please. We have an opportunity to apply for it's called a SAFER grant, which stands for Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response. It's a grant where the government will pay 100% of salaries, overtime, and benefits to hire firefighters. It's 100% for 3 years, and then the fourth year that the town would be required to either cover those costs or lay off. So we don't like to use a layoff term, so I won't say that one again, but I had to put it out there because it's possible. So I ran some numbers using this year's FY22 budget because there's no way I'd get it this year anyways. It would be next fiscal year, if anything. So I ran FY22, 23, 24, and FY25. FY25 would be the year that the town would have to pick up the tab. So this grant would hire 4 firefighters, firefighter paramedics. And there'd be one firefighter would be assigned to each group. So we would have 6 firefighters on duty. with the ability now to drop to 5, which is what I'm at now. So right now we operate 5 on duty, and if someone's out, and I have 2 people out right now that I can't fill that overtime because we don't have that money. It's just not budgeted. You know, one's a long-term injury, and another is another issue, personnel matter. But you know, I don't budget for that. We have no idea that's happening. So we've had to run short, which is it's trying for the firefighters, and especially, you know, going through this COVID for the last year. And I mean, everyone's tired. I get it. I'm tired too. And now, you know, running short doesn't help at all. And when I only have 4 firefighters on duty, as soon as the second ambulance goes out, the station's empty, and we have to recall people. So I'd like to be able to hire 4 more to have the groups of 6. So when I have these incidents, and I seem to have them yearly, where somebody either gets hurt or there's a long-term sickness or something, at least now I'm not running short, so to say. I can just drop to 5 and still maintain somewhat adequate staffing. I'm not going to say 5's adequate because, in my opinion, it's not. I mean, one house fire that takes my whole group, and we still need, you know, 12 people off duty or other towns to effectively fight a fire. So anyways, over the 3-year period, the amount of money we would receive from the federal government to hire these firefighters would be $1,104,622.82. On the 4th year, the year the town would be required to pay the tab, I have 2 different numbers. So these numbers include salaries, contractual requirements that have to be paid, and health and dental with the family plan. And I end up using the plan Always. I guess Always is kind of a more expensive plan from all the plans that we have available. So for that and filling their overtime, it would be $418,814.19. To not fill the overtime, but just do the salaries and the contractuals, and when those people are off, then we just drop to 5. It would be $374,668.27. Now, out of that 374, $299,300 is for the contractuals. The remaining is the health insurance portion of what it would cost if they even took the town's health insurance. I mean, I have no idea if they would or they wouldn't. I don't know what plan they would take. It would be the family or just a single plan. I'm hoping that, 4 years down the road, obviously the fiscal picture should be much better. Ambulance revenue should be up, and hopefully with, some of the initiatives that I know Peter's working on with sewer, we'd have more revenue in town to try to offset this. But that's kind of where I'm at now. I've been toying with this for a few years, and this probably isn't the best year to do it. If we had to pay for it this year, I wouldn't even put it forward to us, because I know we're not there yet. But I've stated in the past several years in my annual town report that we're getting busier and busier. I believe the last time we hired people to get to 5-man shifts, I believe it was either 2004 or 2006. Now, I'm sorry I don't have those numbers offhand. I'm kind of in a COVID fog today. So it's been quite a few years since we've added staffing to the fire department, and we are, obviously getting busier and busier. I wish I had the statistics I could show you right in front of me, but if you look at the last annual town report, I mean, our runs went up quite a bit from the previous year, and they've gone up like 44% over the last 10 years. And a lot of those are EMS related. And every time the ambulance goes out, 2 firefighters go with it. So every time the truck leaves, our staffing drops by 2. And when the second truck goes, our staffing drops by 4. So I just wanted to bring that up. I can apply for the grant. I didn't want to do it without talking to you people first. Kind of, if you think it's a good idea to do it, we can do it. We can at least apply for it. I'd hate to get awarded it and then say, sorry, we got to turn it down. But I kind of want to put it in your hands to give me some direction and your thoughts on where we should probably go with this.
I think it sounds like a great opportunity, and it would be foolish to walk away from it. I understand the challenges of, having to pick up the staffing and, the other costs, but it still seems like it would be, a great benefit to us. Dave, Peter?
Yeah, I agree. I think the opportunity is there, and you don't know when it's going to happen again. One of my questions would be, at the end of the 3 years, would be an opportunity to refile for a second grant to continue this?
So normally, no. But this year, well, first, this year is the first year they've done 3 years at 100%, I believe. Usually it was a graduated thing where it was like 100% the first year, 75 for the second, 50 for the third, and then you owned it. So now they're doing 3 years at 100%. This year they decided that you could use this grant to retain or rehire those who are either going to be laid off or were laid off. For me to say 3 or 4 years down the road that would happen again, I can't say that. This is the first time I've heard about that even happening. And I honestly think it's got a lot to do with, kind of with the economy that we're in right now, with everything that's going on. The federal government, sees the need to, keep the people who are actually dealing with, the virus, other than the healthcare workers in the hospitals, on the streets working and able to, deal with this pandemic, so to say, is my guess.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic opportunity, and go for it and throw everything in to get it. Again, if the board has to do anything, sign anything or endorse anything, myself, I'm all for it.
As well. I mean, I think I said all along that, we are just an extension of support for these boards like yourself, for the fire department and your incident. If it's something that you believe you need to follow up on and go for, then you got my support 100%.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Great. No, thank you. Thanks for taking us down
Thanks,
this road and investigating the opportunities. It's great. Thanks for everything you're doing.
I appreciate the support I've had for the board over the last 9 years. I mean, that this town has treated the fire department very well. Every time, we've needed something, the town's come through and it's got it for us. And, I appreciate that as the department head that leads the force. But, I just leave the place. The other 22 people are ones who are, boots on the ground doing the day-to-day work. And I'm just trying to, make their jobs easier and safer. And I appreciate the support of you and the town of East Bridgewater. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for
Thanks,
being
Jay.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will do our quasi version of open forum. Rebecca, did we receive any emails with anything that we needed to address tonight?
No, I didn't receive any emails.
Okay, thank you. And I understand Sue Gilpatrick, did you want to bring anything up for open forum?
Yes. I just wanted to speak a little bit about number one, our annual town census. We've sent them out a couple weeks ago, and we've got a good response, but not great. So if you haven't returned your census yet, please do. We'd like to save postage and not have to do the second mailing. And then my other thing is our annual town election, which will be in April this year. I'm just going to go over what we have for openings, and if people want to pull papers, the last day to pull them is February 17th. They need to be returned by February 19th. You need to just gather 50 good signatures, which a good signature is a registered voter in the town of East Bridgewater. So on the ballot, we have the town clerk, which is a 3-year position. The selectmen is a 3-year position. Assessors, again, a 3-year position. The school committee, we have 2 slots, and that is a 3-year session. Housing authority is 5 years. We have 1 slot there. The library trustees, 3 years. We have 2 openings. And Board of Health for a 3-year, we have 1 opening. And for 1 year to fill the vacancy, there is 1 position. And then on planning board, we have 2 3-year positions and 1 1-year to finish filling a vacancy. There's been a lot of people have pulled papers. I have put papers pulled in all the categories except for the planning board. So if that's something you're interested in, or any of the positions, stop by the town clerk's office and get signed up and pick up your papers. More than happy to answer any questions you might have. Just call the office, 508-378-1606.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, time to beat the bushes to get planning board people. Dave, why don't you run for planning board again?
Because the town clerk told me I couldn't.
Oh, killjoy.
Sorry.
All right, anything else, Sue?
No, I'm all set. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. With nothing else for open forum, I will close open forum and move to our action items. Mr. Clerk?
All right, action items. Accept the resignation of public health nurse Lisa Royal effective 1/25/2021.
Second.
Any discussion on this?
Just
Yeah,
like
I'll just give a quick update. Oh, baby, you gonna speak?
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I spoke to Lisa. I actually was with the Board of Health when we hired her. I think it's been 5 or 6 years ago. As everybody knows, the role changed drastically from when we originally hired her. She did the best she could possibly do, but with commitments in her regular job, plus family and whatnot, she just couldn't keep up with what the demand was. She was almost apologetic. Obviously, I want to thank her for her previous work. She also said that, if we do, and I told Tim as well as Sue Malloy this, if we do get the vaccine in and we're looking for nurses, she would be more than happy to step up and help out in that aspect as well. Just the timing of what things and what was needed to be done at this time, she just couldn't fill the role. So that's where we're at this point.
Thank you for filling that in. David, did you want to add anything?
Just wanted to thank her for, I think it's 5 years of service. The people down at the Council on Aging really loved to see her on the day she came in, and they kept her very busy. So Lisa, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Lisa, for that. All in favor of accepting her resignation, please say aye.
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 Approved but not released the minutes of the January 4th, 2021, 6:15 p.m. Board of Selectmen's executive session meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Approved but not released the minutes of the January 25th, 2021, 4 p.m. Board of Selectmen's executive session meeting.
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved the minutes of the January 25th, 2021, 4:30 p.m. Board of Selectmen's meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved the minutes of the January 26th, 2021, 4 p.m. joint Board of Selectmen and Board of Health meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor please say aye.
Aye.
Approved schedule for the 2021 annual and special town meeting.
Second.
Any discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And open the town meeting warrant.
Second.
Any discussion?
With
Hearing
the
none,
intent
all,
to close it.
Brian, you want to
Sorry?
hop in there for a minute?
Yeah, I just wanted to say we'll open I'm recommending the board open the warrant at this meeting and look to close it on the meeting of the 1st of March.
all right, so with that clarification, is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 That's all I've got. That's it.
That's it for action items? Great, thank you very much. All right, we already did questions from residents as part of open forums. We have the town administrator report. Mr. Noble?
Thank you. I believe you go first because you have my performance review.
First,
We'll
absolutely.
get that out of the way.
Okay, so back in the fall, this board individually met with Brian Noble to do his performance review. I will say that it's the first review for Brian. It's also the first time that this board has ever gone through the process of reviewing a town administrator. So it was new for us, and it's a little bit challenging because you have to do a performance review for a town administrator in a somewhat public setting. And I don't think any of us would relish that idea. I know I wouldn't. So it's an interesting process, but we did all meet with Brian and then submitted our personal reviews to town council, who then compiled them into a document, which after we vote to accept will be public record, I guess. I think that as a board, we identified areas that Brian is very good at, things like the budget and customer service, and very high standards for his work ethics. And I think we also recognize some areas where there's room for improvement, communication and team building, and working together. I also think that COVID presented its own set of challenges, dealing with things that change on a daily basis, and things that make it very difficult to even have in-person meetings, like this. At least in the fall, we were able to meet in person when we did that individually, but this type of setting is less than ideal when it comes to getting to build a team. So that's my own personal editorial on that. But anyway, I would accept a motion to accept the compilation of the performance review, and then any discussion from the other members of the board if you wanted to add anything.
Motion to accept, Madam Chair.
I can.
I just lost everybody.
Uh-oh.
I can hear you. My camera shut off for some reason. There we go. Okay. All right, so discussion, anything that either of you would like to add at this time?
What I think to say, first of all, Brian came into a very tough situation. Shortly after he arrived, we hit the COVID, and I'm not too sure, even now, he understood exactly how East Bridgewater may run compared to other towns that he's been a town administrator in. But I think his reaction to the COVID was exemplary. He, every day, if I happened to drop by the town building, there was always something new, something that had to be done, something that had to be challenged right away. And he did excel in that. And he did a great job. And I think every department in this, in East Bridgewater, received exactly what what they were supposed to receive. So he did do a great job there. And again, when you come into a town like East Bridgewater, a very small town, and departments have been, together as a family for many, many years. I think it takes any new person would have quite a while trying to adjust to the different personalities, the different department heads that may have done things totally different than where he came from before. And I think he is adjusting to that. I still think we have a way to go with that, but overall, those are the things we will be working on. But he did an outstanding job in a lot of this stuff, and we'll go on from here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From my perspective, obviously, I walked in brand new as well, coming from a whole different kind of board before I joined the Selectmen's office. Brian knows, I think, pretty much where I stand as far as what I'm trying to accomplish with the board's help, as well as the other departments. And, I will say that I haven't had a situation come about that he hasn't participated and, shared his knowledge of what he'd like to see happen at the same time. Again, it's some trying times, not just with COVID, like David said. I agree with him 100%. But East Bridgewater, and I keep saying it, is in a very good position right now. We have ample opportunity to grow this town. We have stellar department heads who are more than happy to work with us in order to see that growth happen. And we have a board that's very dynamic, and one that is made up of 3 individuals, I believe, that bring completely different things to the table, which is going to help us to grow. So, I think as long as Brian continues the process and learning about East Bridgewater, again, as David has said just a minute ago, I think we can accomplish some great feats here in the coming weeks, months, and potentially years for sure.
Great. Thank you, Peter. Well, Brian, there you have it.
Well, thank you. I'd like to extend my gratitude to the board and to compliment them on a very nice process. And I thank you very much for your comments, your input, and your kindness. Thank you.
Excellent. So do we have, now that we've made the motion in a second and discussion, can we have a vote to accept the compilation for the performance review, please? All in favor, say aye. Aye. There you go. See you in July when we get to do this again.
Oh, joy.
Can't wait.
Let me start writing now.
Yeah.
Thank you. So
All
first
right.
of
What
all,
else have you got for us?
thank you. First of all, I'd too like to express my gratitude to Chief Aaron and Sue Malloy, who led a team of town employees on bringing the website into existence today, putting the answering, what do you want to call it, the dialogue box into the Council on Aging. That was excellent. And I would like to report that I just looked up, we have over 130 people who've already signed up on the list. And Carol, you went away again.
I see that.
Yes. So I want to thank you. That it makes a big difference to move the agenda ahead on a very trying issue. Also, as caused by our COVID response, I'd like to acknowledge that Melissa Morrissey is here, and she's been dealing with the fraudulent unemployment claims that have inundated the payroll issue in our town. And Melissa, could you give us a quick update, if you can, on the unemployment claims, what the problem was and your response in your office?
Sure. Hi. We received an absurd amount of fraudulent claims. Probably a lot of you were contacted about those claims. It was quite surprising when, someone in the office, you're talking to them like, oh, apparently you don't work here anymore because you've claimed unemployment, and so we did get hit with charge. What was happening was from April through July, the state was not reviewing the unemployment claims. They had an automated system and it was just approving anything that came through. We were also not receiving any bills. So we had no idea. There was nothing to look at to even know it was happening. So come August came along and we received April, May, June, and July's bills. And we had 30 days to research and do the protests for those. And every month we were receiving more. One specific Monday, it was a lovely day, we received 36 fraudulent claims in one day. So Megan worked so hard because every single claim required a personal phone call to that person, instructions on how to handle the fraud. We had to contact we have an unemployment company that manages our claims and will represent us in a dispute or a protest. And she had to reach out to them. We had to submit paperwork or documentation, whether we were protesting a claim, because we have a lot of people who used to work here who had part-time jobs that went elsewhere. They quit their job with us or retired, and yet we're getting charged unemployment for them. where we really shouldn't be. So there's a lot going on, and she handled it fabulously, and she was right on it. And we have received over $42,000 already in credits. We still have probably 5 dispute protests, and I think we have only 2 fraudulent claims left. So she did a crazy great job, and she's now the queen of unemployment. So it was great. So yeah, it's really, I looked at those bills every day, and I feel all stressed thinking, oh my gosh, we're gonna have to pay $84,000. Nope, no, we aren't. So she's doing a great job. So we're getting there. Every day it's a little less.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well done. And our thanks to Megan as well for being on top of that. Also, in other news, as you know, that we've been working to move our other post-employment benefits trust account into the state retirement board trust fund. And we were approved after submitting basically a ream of paperwork to the SRBTF. And we were approved to move the money, and we will be transferring that money effective March 1st. And this is very important because those actuarial numbers should change dramatically on our OPEB liability. And I'm betting on greater than a 15 to 20% reduction in our liability there because of the investment return that we'll get from that fund versus being in the Bartholomew Fund. We shall see, but we won't see that, unfortunately, for another year. But that's part of our preparation for bonding and getting our bond rating reviewed as we move into that in July. We're getting ready to take the school roof out to bond, and we have a bond anticipation note about $554,000, if I recall correctly, Melissa. And we'll be rolling those into a bond again in July and putting that into the permanent debt structure. That should, and that's been helped because, as you know, our school roof bid was dramatically lower than we were forecast, and our state aid is going to cover 57.74%. So that's going to make things just a little easier. If we can get the re-rating at the same time, then that will decrease the amount of interest. We're also refinancing the school debt for the junior high school, and that should save us about $4.4 million, if not slightly more, over the life of that note. So we should have some good news come July for us. I'd like to also point out, I submitted a document to the board regarding the Gladys Farron cottage and how we would proceed regarding the value of that cottage and how we would go to selling it in preparation of perhaps moving it. I do need some feedback from the board, but I am waiting for an estimate of value from the assessors to make sure that I put it in the right category, less than 10,000, more than 10,000, et cetera. But it did indicate when I talked to the attorneys that we do need to adopt a policy. I gave you a sample policy in the document. If you read that far, because I admit it was boring. But I would like to proceed further. I had conversations with John Haynes about making sure that we didn't run afoul with an existing procedure that was also legal. So I'll be working with the department heads to make sure that we go to a proper policy that takes into consideration the current practices. I also am pleased to tell you that Senator Timilty's office has been in contact with us regarding the governor's budget and what he foresees as the House and the Senate proposals. And to quote Dave Sheedy, he doesn't expect much to change dramatically between the proposed governor's budget and the House and Senate. That has been the case in the past, and I'm counting on Dave to be right again. So we'll see what happens. I'm disappointed because
Always pass the buck, Mr. Noble, always pass the buck.
But give credit where credit is due. The most important thing is the time schedule. It'll be even later than normal. Now, it was very late this year, so I can't say normal, but normally we would know before we went to town meeting if we were close on our estimates. We're not going to know on this budget until late summer. So we'll go to town meeting with, as usual, our best forecast given the facts. Now, as you know, we have an engineering firm RFP out in the marketplace right now. I'm pleased that before we came into the meeting this night, I looked, we have 54 downloads. Some are duplicates, but that's a lot better than the first week. And what we found out is that the state was a little late publishing the goods and service register. And that may have had something to do with it. We have received a couple of phone calls from engineering firms asking for more time. And I've consulted with John Haynes and with Selectman Peter Spagone, and I'm going to make the recommendation to the board that we extend the deadline from Friday, February 12th to Friday, February 28th. I believe that's the last Friday, beg your pardon, nope, 26th. And I would need a board vote to do that. I think it's necessary to give the firms that downloaded it's a long document that they're going to have to prepare with a lot of samples and representations and some calculations on price. I think it's probably a wise idea to give them a little more time and then give them an extra week because of the school vacation. I'm not sure many people are going away, but generally speaking, we tend to skip over the school vacation as a time when people do take vacation. So I'm asking the board for that extension.
Would someone like to make a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to extend the engineering RFP to Friday, the 26th of February.
Second,
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. There you go.
Thank you. And I'll try to have the policy for the disposal of a fixed asset ready for you at the next meeting. Also, we received today the review of the lawyers on the proposal to put out to bid the Leland Farms property, which is currently held by the Lipinski family. That bid was authorized by town meeting. I have the bid package ready to go. The deadline on that would be March 1st, 2021. In order to make that schedule, I'd like to post the bid tomorrow. There is a copy in your folders, and I will email a copy to you tonight, but it has received already town council approval, and I'm asking you to authorize the posting of the bid.
Someone like to make a motion on that?
Yeah, Dave, you want to go ahead and do that?
yeah, I'll make a motion that we authorize the town administrator to post the Leland Farm for as of tomorrow. Are you going to put a time on that, Brian?
I gave a copy tonight to Carol and to you. Peter hasn't had an opportunity to read it. So with your permission, I won't post it till noontime tomorrow to give Peter an opportunity to just look at it before I do it. If that's all right with you guys.
Are you
That's
going
okay.
to put a deadline on it?
March 1st.
Okay, my motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. That concludes my report to the board, unless I've forgotten something, Rebecca. Okay.
Say no, Rebecca.
I know, right? Great, thank you. Thank you, Brian. Rebecca, any announcements or staff reports? Where'd she go? Oh, there you are.
Right here. No, I don't. Sue gave an update on the annual town election and the annual census. And we just have the next two meetings, Monday, February 22nd and Monday, March 8th. And after today's meeting, I think we might have a meeting on March 1st, just to close the warrant.
No, you could close, you have a vote to close the warrant, so you don't have to do that again.
Oh, okay.
You accept close the warrant on the 1st, and then we'll present the list of articles to the Board of Selectmen on the 8th.
Okay.
All right. That's it.
And the food drive, that's still ongoing through this Sunday, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, and we do have a box outside of the selectman's office where we're collecting for the food pantry. So if anybody is around town hall and want to bring it here, if it's more convenient, we'll deliver that on Friday.
There goes my camera again. Just like spontaneously cutting out. Brian, what's the story with this laptop?
You have very bad internet connection because
No, I don't
Dale's
think
using it too.
No. I was gonna say I got my Dewhurst lumber, bill today because we never miss a month, and and it was the flyer for the food pantry. So that was a good reminder that they sent out along with the money I owe them. So okay, so board discussions, discuss committee for the planner position. I know this came up at our last meeting about how we wanted to move forward with this process, and I believe that there has been some discussion on what this committee might look like. Mr. Noble or Mr. Sheedy? I'm not sure which one of you wants to go first on this one.
I defer to Mr. Sheedy.
All right.
Looking, again, it's a brand new position. My feeling on this is we have 6 or 7 people on the first review committee to review all the resumes and so on and so forth that have come in. And they will pick a committee of 3 to actually do the interviews for however many candidates they feel that we should even spend the time on interviewing. Rebecca, any idea how many resumes we have in so far?
I would say about 7.
I've gone through some of them. I don't know if we have to re-advertise somewhere else, but none of them really stood out to me. But again, I'm not going on the committee, so we'll leave it to that. My suggestions on some of the people that should be on there is Patrick, Roy Gardner, Claire, John Haynes. I think we should have one of our contractors on that. People that work, with the planner, or will be working with the planner, every time they come into the building. The selectmen should stay out of it at this time, and it depends on how many candidates. Who else did I have on that, Brian?
My list was Roy, Patrick, John, Kevin, or Bob Looney from the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Okay.
Claire, a contractor. You had mentioned, did you want me to mention the name?
No, not
Okay.
yet. That person hasn't been notified.
Oh, that would
But
be good.
say contractor, if the other 2 members have a contractor in mind, they can, give you that information. And
I have
again,
no
I
problem with
think
that. I'm sorry, I thought you were done. Go ahead.
I just think that's the way of doing it is, start it off with a search committee type deal, bring it down to 3 that they pick themselves, 1 as a chair, and then come in front of us. And it's not necessary to bring, 3 people to us. In the past, we've always said, we should always have 2 in case the first one decides to go somewhere else or doesn't accept it. But I think that should be up to the final 3 people on how many they send forward for us to interview on our own.
I think that's fine. The only thing I would add, I mean, the town planner reports to the town administrator. I think that Brian should be involved as an ex officio, throughout the process. I can't picture them selecting someone that, he hasn't been involved, at least in, being a part of that. It's obviously our decision in the end, but I think he should be involved at some point along the way. Peter, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all the candidates. I would throw Paula Wolf in there as well. As Sessa's office, they
Good idea.
big role in that. I mean, maybe she was in there. They just missed the name, but other than that, I think everybody else they had named in there is definitely needs to be in it. I mean, the big thing about this is, at the end of the day, whoever's picked, we need they'll be working with this group of people, so they'll be able to, not come back on us. Basically it's like victim, or her or whatever. So, I mean, I think that's important, in the process. And I really like the at-large person on the outside, because they'll bring a perspective in from a different avenue than, say, the town employee. So I'm excited about this. I did talk to Brian. I think like you both probably did, some of the applicants we have maybe looking at this as a different type of job. I know Brian said that it was like a party planner or something like that. So that's, that probably isn't going to work, but
That was my only pick.
so they go through it. If they can't find somebody, we have to extend it. It's an extremely important position.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Whatever the process is, that it's not like the engineering firm. These guys have been doing this forever. We'll be able to get a real good firm out of just the crop of people we got in. This is something completely different. We take our time, let this group really go through it. And if they're not happy with the first batch, then we go back to the drawing board. We do it that way.
Absolutely. And then,
makes you
it's a
feel-
brand new position. So I think that, this is the opportunity to really mold that to be what the town needs. And we want to make sure it's the right person. So.
Well, it make you feel any better. I spoke to 3 other towns that were also looking for a town planner, and they were expressing the same lack of application, but we had posted ours open until filled. So we could promote that job posting a little more on Indeed. We did, I think we've exhausted MMA, but I think we could post that a little bit more on Indeed, maybe pay to have the position promoted inside that website just a little longer. And, I didn't see, and Mr. Sheedy did review the job applications, and I only looked at them briefly. I only saw one that even had a degree in community planning. So I would like to see a little bit more of a robust application pile.
I know one of the applicants thought he would be the best qualified candidate to fill the city administrator job.
So it's wide open.
City administrator.
Right.
Well,
I tell you, I've been hiring people for a long, long time. And if you can't get the instructions as part of the application process right, then
There is no application.
to me, there's no moving forward on that. It's like, if I ask for a resume and a letter of interest and you don't send me those 2 things, like, I'm out, So, yeah.
Concur. So we don't have to make a decision tonight on that one, and we can wait for a little while longer to see what we get for a pile of applicants.
I'm definitely in favor of the idea of a screening committee for the applications, and then, narrowing it down. So, you don't have a committee of 10 people interviewing this poor applicant. That'd be a little intimidating, but I think an interview by, a handful of people is fine. Somebody who's applying for a position like this should be able to handle that kind of setup and that kind of pressure. And that's a good way to, an indication of whether they can or they can't. So
But he has to adjust to East Bridgewater.
Brian can tell them how.
Yeah.
No, I can't. All right. Well, thank you.
All right.
That's
I think that was it. Is there anything, any other business to bring before the board before we adjourn for an executive session?
Yeah, I got just 2 quick items real quick. First, I want to go back just to the food drive real quick. Rebecca just said, it's the end of the week. We've got a lot of momentum the first week, looking forward to the second week. But I want to say thank you to Rebecca for putting the drive together out front at or in the town hall. It was a huge surprise, and I really appreciate that. Like I said, it's a really devastating time for both food pantries. So to help at least the first one going forward is really it was really important. And so far we've got some real good participation. I want to thank everyone for doing that. But again, like I said, I want to point out Rebecca first and foremost for her help and her thoughtfulness in what she did last week. Second thing would be rec department. We met. I'm going to pass this over to Brian. I don't know if he spoke to each of you yet regarding the stipend that we're trying to put together for the individual to gather information. I'd like to get that out if with your approval. I don't know if we need a vote or if you just need to let you know, but we met with them. I think it was about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't know when it was. It's everything kind of just mashed together at this point. But
Groundhog Day.
yeah, right. So we sat down with them, which took some time. We finally came out with a nice document on a lot of things that need to be brought back into the rec department, at least to the board, about facilities, about programs, about individuals outside of programs, DPW. John Haynes has joined us in all those conversations. So we're looking for an individual that will be able to spend a 3 to 5 month period to gather all this information in order to bring it back to the board for like I said, a stipend. Again, maybe Brian spoke to you, hopefully he did. And what I wanted to do is to get the approval tonight so we can put this up on the website, the town's website. We don't want to go out to Indeed or any of that stuff. We think we can get somebody internally, meaning in the town, that has the relationships already with a lot of these organizations and the people, so that we're not chasing down these individuals from these programs, that a lot of that is taken care of by this person that already has that knowledge. But I wanted to bring that up, and I told the rec that I would get it in front of us tonight, and hopefully be able to post it back up on the website to be shared through whatever social media or email, whatever the case may be. So I'll leave that to Brian to kind of let us know what the process from here is.
We need it's a temporary or seasonal employee, and its stipend. There's $21,000 in the revolving fund for recreation at the moment that can be used for this kind of payment. We do need to, I think, freeze this by the personnel committee. Just we don't really have a rule specifically for temporary or seasonal employees, but I think we just out of fairness make sure we cross our T's, dot our I's. I did inform the finance committee so that they were aware that we were moving in that direction. So the estimated cost is between $3,500 and $5,000, depending upon the number of hours or the number of months that this person might stay to complete the project. And so I think as long as the board has no serious objection to that, I think we need to do something to put the rec commission on an even keel and know what the questions are so that we can go forward.
Okay.
Do we need a motion on that, Brian?
As long as I have your
To bring it in
approval.
front of
I
the
wanna do a mo-
personnel board.
Yeah, I think it's I guess my question is direction from you. Through the personnel board or not? I'm assuming yes, but how do you feel?
I think
I
just
believe it should go through the personnel board.
for the sake
Okay.
of transparency, I would agree. Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, I'd like a vote of approval from the Board of Selectmen pending the decision of the Personnel Committee.
I'll make a motion that we approve bringing in someone to take an overview of the Recreation Commission and all our facilities upon approval from the Personnel Board as soon as possible.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of moving this position forward to Personnel Committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's great. You know what? Thank you, Peter, because I know that getting all that together with Recreation Committee has been challenging, and there's a lot of moving parts there. So I appreciate your persistence with
Well,
this.
I lost a couple of friends on that rec department, but that's okay. Keep pushing.
Sorry
Brian's
to hear
done a lot of work too. I want to say thank you to Brian for helping and getting them motivated to get this stuff out. Teresa McNulty as well has been very good. John Shea, he helped write the description as well as Brian did. So we'll get it going. And like I said, it's a huge piece of the puzzle to the town, and I believe that we can really start to see some good things come out of it once we get the information we need at first.
I agree. Did you have anything else, or is that it? Those two things?
That's
You
it.
good?
All right, thank you.
David?
No, I'm good, thank you.
All right, well then I will take a motion to adjourn this meeting and move to executive session.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, now we do a roll call. Julius, aye.
Dave Sheedy, aye.
Peter Spagone, aye.
There we go. We're adjourned. Good night, everybody. Thank